Welcome to Expert Views on ADR Ever, a podcast about simplifying the traditional African method of settling disputes or the appropriate dispute resolution ADR in a bid to attract more users to settle their disputes or conflicts with mediation, arbitration, collaborative law, restorative justice, ombuds, negotiation, conciliation, and early neutral evaluation. My name is DrChinweEgbunike, a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Brighton, United Kingdom. I'm the fellow of the American Bar Association section of dispute resolution. I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Giovanni Volonterio to the EVA show. He is the director and co-founder of the worldwide department of Italian Mediation Chamber Equilibrium ADR firm. Giovanni is an Italian Ministry of Justice registered mediator and arbitrator based in Milan. He wears many hats, so I've left the link to his profile below. Welcome to this show, Giovanni. I hope I got the
thank you, Chinwe.
Thank you correctly. It's such an honor having you. So without further ado, the first question is, do the existing legal bodies within Italy provide mediation or arbitration services?
Sure. Mediation and arbitration since about 10 years is becoming more and more popular and has been regulated from a law of 2010 in a very detailed way. The reason to establishing new rules of mediation was to help tribunals to avoid long litigation. It did not prove so good, and in fact, 1 month ago, a new enlarged and enforced list of subjects of mediation has been introduced. And now we can say that in Italy, almost all litigation should be first discussed in a mediation center. And that's proof good because we need to avoid long litigation and bring Italy in the group of nations in which justice and litigation are more efficient to be solved.
Thank you. Are you done? Sorry.
We have just, I think, 20 minutes. And so, first of all, let me thank you, Chinwe, for invitation, and also welcome to all our colleagues that are watching us. I am in Milano, north of Italy, as you know. That is the region, the most richest region of Italy in terms of business. Not of artistic.
That's good to know.
For artistic things, we have Rome and Florence and many other places. But for business, Milan is good.
Good. Thank you so very much for that. So in Italy, what is the legal and regulatory system for civil and commercial mediation and arbitration as well?
When we go to mediation, that for many subjects, except it is easier to say the exception. The exceptions are mainly for companies, shareholders litigation. This is not compulsory. But for all other contracts, for real estate and bank insurances, I would say almost all. So we have, before starting, this is the key point, before starting a litigation into tribunal, we have to make an attempt, a trial. We have to make a meeting in a mediation center in which the parts must be assisted by their respective lawyers. So when the two parties come to a mediation center that must be registered, like Equilibrium, like other mediation centers that usually are placed in Chamber of Commerce, or in the group of the professions, I would say the lawyers, for example, they have their own Chamber of Commerce in tribunal, or the dottori commercialisti, of which I am part, that I will talk soon after, have our own our chambers. So when the two litigants go in this chamber and they are assisted by two lawyers, then when the agreement is signed, it is immediately enforceable. And this is very important because it's like a tribunal declaration. So it can be enforceable and without going to the tribunal to have the stamp. So this is the key point. This will bring the litigants very fast to an agreement and to the enforceability. And this will help the Italy problems that usually are known as long questions to be very short. In fact, we have 3 months in which the mediation should be solved. So it's fast. On the other side, we have also arbitration, and also here there are some news for Italy. Arbitration is 6 months. Anyhow, arbitration again has its direct enforceability. This has changed since some years. Before it was needed to go to a tribunal to have the stamp. Now, no. The final agreement, the final decision of the arbitration chamber of the arbitrators is legally binding. So also this is like a private justice that since some years in Italy now is perfectly used. So I think it's a very good opportunity for our colleague to establish mediation or arbitration in Italy, because Italy is placed in a beautiful place from north to east to south of the globe, and east and west. So, for example, in Equilibrium we have many mediations for with Middle East and with Germany and UK. Why? Because we are placed in the middle, and so our colleague come to Italy to have like a neutral, also geographical neutral place to discuss their problem. And this proved very good, because here we have a foreign mentality and we understand maybe better the one coming from the south or from the east, and mix all together and find a solution. This especially for mediation, in which we know that we are concentrated in interest, and opening a good dialogue is fundamental.
Okay, thank you so much. So in Italy, is it mandatory for parties to try and settle their cases via ADR before approaching the court?
Exactly, yes.
It is mandatory.
It's mandatory to meet. It's not mandatory to find a solution. This is important. So what happens, and this is important to say, that most of Italian lawyers, and I noticed it also in other countries, prefer to go into the tribunal and have very long trials, very long, and we all know why. It's not a matter to explain that, because
so what you're saying is that the lawyers are yet to embrace ADR.
Some of them, the most illuminated
that's the
one,
case in Nigeria as well. Yeah, you're right.
The most illuminated one prefer to go into ADR. Because at the end they can give a very good service to their clients, and also be paid in a good way. But many others prefer to go very long, because they are sure to get paid a lot. But this is in general, because for many points it is necessary to go into tribunal, and we need to fight with articles of the code. So these lawyers are welcome on that. But I would like to push all our colleagues to go to mediation, because in any sense we can give a better service, and at the end the fees can be the same, because we get it before and not waiting years, and the client maybe start a new discussion without being afraid of so long and so expensive fees. I hope that this message is taken well, and
yeah, it's
in
clear.
other countries is exactly the same.
Yes, yes. Thank you so very much. So, has ADR enhanced access to justice in Italy?
Sorry?
Has it enhanced access to justice?
In Italy, is also the judges can push the parties to go into mediation, also for the subjects that are not compulsory. So this means that also the judges now, from these new rules, are pushed to use mediation, and in fact the judges will gain good marks in their CV if they push for mediation. So in Italy, after 1 year that we have a new government, and it should stay at least for 4 years because they have an absolute majority. So we are making very good steps toward a better improvement of Italian, yes. And I would like also to pass this message to all of us. So because here the field for investment now is much easier, is better, and in fact, you know, you introduced me as having various hats. For example, I have a big hat. My normal hat is for a merger and acquisition from abroad. And so this helps. And in all agreements, I put the clause of the multi-step clause. That is, in case of problems, we go first with mediation, and then after, if needed, through arbitration. And so all is linked into making things fast and efficient.
Efficient. Okay, so you've touched the fourth question, which is compared to litigation, what is the impact, or if there's any difference between the cost and time frame for settling via ADR? You know, so I think you've touched on that, or do you want to enlighten?
Yes, to enlighten this. Yes. Okay. So for us that are mediator and lawyers or expert in law, mediation is not fees for mediator in Italy are, I would say, very low, because yes, are very low. For I would say for a litigation of 20,000 euros, something like this, it's at the end for the mediator, it's about maximum 600-700 euro. That is not much. It's not much in case we need several meetings, and usually we have several meetings too. So, you know, the fees are not big. Why we have several meetings? First of all, for the complexity of some questions, and also because lawyers have a different mind than their clients usually, and prefer to go into very detail, while the mediator goes more or less straight to the problems, and then solutions comes. And so mediator are faster than lawyer. And for this reason, mediation can be also good, but if lawyers make it long, the fees are not sufficient. In the States, in the United States, with some colleagues, I know that it's completely different, because mediators have really very, very high fees. So it's a matter of culture. Anyhow, you know, being a mediator helps anybody of us to be a much better negotiator in all other fields. So when we wear other hats, we have the skills of the mediator getting negotiation better for both parts. Yes. On the other side, arbitration, no, for arbitration, the fees are very good. So arbitration being a more low, let's say, low-based matter, fees are good. In fact, lawyers are happy for that. Let me explain one thing, because in Italy we have two categories. We have lawyers that after university have to take a very difficult exam, and they become specialized to go to the tribunal. So in Italy, lawyers that are called avvocati go to the tribunals to discuss, and that's why they like to be very stick to the code, to the articles. So one pillar is the lawyers. Then we have another pillar that is called the dottori commercialisti, that is like me, that after university we too have to make a very difficult exam. And we are specialized in economics and economic laws. So we could be called business lawyers.
Oh.
You know? So in the Chamber of Commerce, there are both avvocati, lawyers, and the dottori commercialisti, that we can call internationally like business lawyer. So I suggest to take attention of it when you choose a mediator. If you want to be more stick to the code, the article codes, just I choose a lawyer in mediation. If you want to be more effective for economic and solve the matter, I suggest to go to the dottori commercialisti.
Oh, thank you so very much on that.
Yeah.
So are you saying that arbitration is cheaper than mediation in Italy?
No. Arbitration is not cheaper than mediation. Arbitration is good for us like professionals.
Okay.
Arbitration is almost the same fees as a normal lawsuit, and so it's good for lawyers and also for dottori commercialisti, because while in the tribunal it is needed that you go with a avvocato, in arbitration you can choose both or lawyer or dottori commercialisti. The best is when there are 3 arbitrators. The president may be best is the lawyer, because he knows all the procedure. Yes. Because in arbitration, in Italian arbitration, is very important to follow all the rules of a normal, would say, way of, now I don't remember exactly the name, but you have to ask all of to give the possibility to everybody to say what they need and so on. So the procedure is very important. So the lawyer, maybe as president, is the best, while the other 2 can be dottori commercialisti, because they know the specific subject that usually is an economic subject, a business subject. So we are expert on that. And so we have a very good team for judging the matter, because we are expert. And so we do not need to go and make the client spend a lot on specific experts nominated outside the team. Yeah.
All right, thank you so very much. So how can potential users of ADR find practitioners through the Italian Chamber of Mediation?
Yeah, it's very easy now. All the chambers of mediation are listed in the web, so it's easy. I would say that in order to help in choosing a chamber, we have the chambers of inside the chambers of commerce. For example, the one in Milan is one of the most famous. Yeah. And these are one pillar for the chambers of commerce. Then we have the chambers of mediation based on the professions. So we have the chambers of commerce of the chambers of mediation of lawyers and the chambers of dottori commercialisti. For example, I am mediator in the chamber of dottori commercialisti of Milan. That is a very prestigious one. Yeah, with all colleagues that are dottori commercialisti. Then we have also private chambers like Equilibrium, of which I am helping in making international ADR. So they are private and they are focused a lot on the solutions. What I mean, as it is compulsory to go to the chamber of mediation, many that do not want to make mediation, but they need a stamp saying that mediation has been tried, they go usually to the chamber of the lawyers, that they are fast because the lawyers can say, no, I don't want to go on, finished. But they also do good mediation, please. I don't want to say, hey, this is wrong. But I talk on numbers. The majority of solutions are in the private or in the Chamber of Commerce, in the private. For example, in Equilibrium, we have people that come that make more agreements than saying, no, I don't want.
Yeah.
So yes, our colleagues can choose if they want to have the stamp saying I tried but was not good, I go to the tribunal, or they can choose another one to make the real mediation. Yes, for international mediation, for sure I can suggest my chamber, so you can contact me for international mediation. Yeah.
Okay, so that leads to the this question about what is the concept behind your chambers. That's the Equilibrium ADR firm.
Yes, Chinwe, let me say something else. In all mediation, they must make at least 50 hours. Then they can be listed in the mediator list of the Ministry of Justice. And also there, our colleague can take the mediators from the list that is in the mediators list of the Ministry of Justice of Italy.
Sorry, 50 hours. I didn't get that. Is it 50 hours?
Yes, 50 hours just to be registered. But then you have to make 18 hours every 2 years of training, and more important that we have to attend various what we call training, training during the real mediation. So at the end, mediator here are expert. Yes, so you can rely on them.
Yes. Okay. So is that a concept behind Equilibrium chambers?
Yeah, the concept of equilibrium is that we like to be like a place in which international colleagues can find international expertise, because we are expert like mediators, and we are in a place again in Italy and in north of Italy in which we have experience on big businesses. And so that's why it's a good place to come.
Okay, so let's look at the data protection. So what precautionary measures are in place for the data protection of practitioners registered with your firm?
Yes, well,
in future. Yeah.
Yes, private data protection is a must in all Europe, and also in particular in Italy. Anything discussed in mediation is fully covered by confidentiality, not only between the parts themselves, not only between the parts and the mediator, but also the persons that are the young mediators that are participating like training must be completely confidential, and all is completely secret. And also for arbitration, we have private, completely private discussions. So only the final agreement will be exchanged through parties, and also that is immediately enforceable. And this is why arbitration is also a good point to go for avoiding longness of tribunals. Yes.
Okay, so thank you so very much. So final question is, how can practitioners register with your firm?
Yeah, they must pass an exam, as I told you, after attending the course. Then they apply for the registration, and we pass this application to the ministry. And after some months, the ministry says, okay, you are registered. And then the young people can come a mediator. And they can also register in other 5 chambers. So it's not only one, but are not 10. So a mediator is almost dedicated only to some limited chambers. That is to grant the quality. Otherwise, you know, if you go in 100 chambers, you do it too fast, and probably quality is low. So we have a limitation on the number of chambers in which a mediator is registered.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So thank you. So is your firm subject to external control? So that is the Ministry of Justice or other bodies? How, you know?
Exactly.
Oh.
Since we have a new law. Also the law before was very strict for letting the chambers to be registered, because they must have several points. They must have insurances. They must have assurances and so on. And the one that is have been approved is even more strict, because we must grant a certain number of mediators, a certain number of mediations, a higher amount for insurance. So it's good. And another thing, one mediation chamber can have also subsidiaries in various cities, because in Italy, there is also the local competence, as we say, la competenza territoriale. So if it is not chosen by the parts to go somewhere else, they must go where the litigation starts. And so in the city where the litigation starts, and for that, a Chamber of Commerce can appoint several cities in which mediator are registered in that city too. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so very much.
So it's rather complicated, but when it's complicated, it is when you know it, it is easier, because you cannot do wrong.
Yeah. Thank you so very much for sharing offering a detailed overview of ADR in Italy. And I believe that potential users would embrace all you've stated, especially the benefits associated with ADR, mediation arbitration, and opt for REIT whenever the need arises in Italy.
Sure.
Thank you so very much for coming on the show. I do appreciate your insights and perspective and all the teaching and learning you shared with us. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you to you. Thank you very much.
All right.
If you need any other meeting, I will be more technical. I will be ready. And let me say goodbye to all other people, all other colleagues that are watching us. Thank you, and best regards from Milano.
All right. Bye-bye. Take care.